Parshat Veyeira. So, Titin Chesed L'Avram, we know that we say that Hashem was given Chesed, kindness, to our forefather Avram, because Avram, we know, is the epitome of kindness. That was his attribute. Every one of our shepherds had their special attribute, and Avram's attribute was kindness. And in this Parsha, Veyeira, it shows the kindness, the level of kindness that he had, which like even beyond our thinking, beyond our imagination. As most people, people are very kind. Jews are very, very kind. But when it comes to Avraham Avinu, it surpassed anything that I ever, experienced, for sure. And we really have to understand it in a deeper level. And he goes through the aspects that really can show more so of what Avraham Avinu was so different in the way that in his level of kindness. So he says, the first thing that he says, he goes through 8 different things of how his level of kindness was different than others. So the first thing he says is that we see the actual time that this is actually the only time that we see how Avraham Avinu was performing his services of kindness, and in this week's parsha, and therefore we have to ask the question. Well, the Nesivos Shalom doesn't say this. I guess he takes this. It's very simple for him, but one year when we were in Madison, Wisconsin, my wife and I were very disappointed, to say the least. My wife was much more disappointed than I was. It was Rosh Hashanah, and even those Jews that don't really keep, and we're dealing with a lot of Jews over there that didn't have anything to do with Yiddishkeit, but Rosh Hashanah, they used to come and show up. And so we used to always prepare meals like we normally on a Shabbat. We would have like a certain amount, but in Rosh Hashanah we would have like maybe 3 or 4 times that amount. So she prepared that Rosh Hashanah, I think, for like 60, 70 people. She prepared food, like a lot of food. And we set the tables, this and that. I think 2 or 3 people came.
Oh my God.
So like it was really, really like unbelievable. So I was talking to my nephew afterwards. He asked me how was Rosh Hashanah. We were just catching up, and I told him what happened. We were so devastated, and he says, "You know what? I just heard something from an official shachter," and he said, out of all the times that Avram did Chesed, why is it that the one time that the Torah is telling us about his Chesed and the details that it goes through, the guests that he fed didn't eat? They were angels. Mm-hmm. They didn't eat. They didn't need to eat. So out of all the times that he did Chesed and he had his doors open for everybody, why is it that the Torah picked this time where no one ate?
But is that the only example they give?
Yeah, this is the example. This is the example. This is the example of our Rebbe's kindness, and especially in this detail. And so the interesting thing is, he says the reason is because it has nothing to do with the result. It has to do with the effort. The kindness doesn't have anything to do with the result. It has to do with the effort. And therefore, he said that, he really consoled us, my nephew, when he told us this of what official Schechter said. So anyway, but that's, it really is like, why is it? But now we understand. Anyway, so he says like this. He says, he goes through the 8 things that make Avraham Avinu's kindness even greater than anybody else. That in such a there's different ones that are more amazing than the others. So he goes like this. So first of all, he says the people that were coming, that he was in the middle of speaking to God, and people were coming. He saw those people, the wayfarers, 3 different people. What they weren't, they were really angels, but that's what he saw. And in his eyes, they looked like lowlives, Arabs that were really lowlives. They were not any, type of high standard people. And yet, what does he do? He goes ahead and he starts running towards them, and he bows down to them, right? Even though the status that he thought they were in, right? And if we look, we can see that when he did this, it wasn't just, he used the word, the Torah uses the word that testifies that Avram, not only he did quickly, and he told his wife to do quickly, all these different things that they were making for them, but also it says that he was running, okay? And can you imagine? He was 99 years old, just went through the circumcision, in the 3rd day, which is the most painful, and he's running again and again. It doesn't say, I think it says like 3 times running, okay? And then it goes ahead and it says, that he went and he shechted 3 different cows, so that each of them could have the best part of the meat. Tongue is known to be the best part of the beef, and like if you think about it, like, okay, you give them a side of beef, it's not bad, so cut it up between them. No, they each had to have their own tongue, and then that we see that he asks Hashem, Al nas avor me'al avdecha. Please don't pass in front of your servant. Meaning, I want to still talk to Hashem, but I got to do something with the guests. I can't just let them be. So, and then, and the Chazal, our sages, teach us that we see from this that accepting guests is even more important than talking with Hashem, right? And now we have to understand, if we ever had a revelation of talking to Hashem, right, our level of talking to Hashem would never be anywhere near the level of Avram's talking to Hashem, so that. But even so, nevertheless, he did it, and he went and he took care of the guests, even though they were not any special high status. He went and took care of the guests. And then, on top of this, it says that in the same Parsha, we talk about Sodom, right? And the other 4 cities that Hashem wanted to destroy. And he told him about it. Hashem told him that he has to destroy these cities. Now, what were these cities representing? They were representing the antithesis to the nth degree of Avram, because and it was mind-boggling. The way they didn't do kindness was they didn't allow anybody to do kindness. If somebody was caught being kind, they could be hurt or killed.
Oh, it sounds like New York.
So
I was thinking also.
So Avram Avinu, if you think about it, Avram Avinu's his main point in life is chesed. He had the ability to take out those people because he was trying to do what Hashem wants him to do. These people are going against Hashem in the worst way. Hashem wants to destroy them. What should he do? He should take out a l'chaim and say, Chaim Tov Mashalom, this is great, right? This is his life's dream, and they are ruining his dream. and they're not living far from him,
Hmm.
and he should be happy and dancing. What does he do? He davens to Hashem that they should live. It doesn't make any sense. He's going, so his kindness was beyond in such a way, right? And the Torah, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 45 sukkim, 45 verses. I'm pretty sure it's 45 verses that the Torah goes into detail of how Avram was asking forgiveness from Hashem every time he pleaded with Hashem in his prayers to not destroy Sodom, over and over again. And the Torah goes through it in detail, how he pleaded with Hashem for these people that were such terrible people. And then
Did he ever recognize at one point that these were angels he was dealing with?
yeah, for sure. Afterwards. Yeah. No, afterwards.
After what?
They revealed themselves to him.
They revealed himself to him.
Oh, okay.
So, and he also knew that, like, there's a one of the things that Hashem says is that, in the end of days, that Hashem is going to remove the tumah, the impurity from the world, right? So this would be part of it. This would be part of it, ruining, taking away the people that are ruining us, and taking them away from the word in such a way that nothing, and he should be happy, but he wasn't, and he was davening for them, and he did save part of them.
Well,
and
he's
then
taken mercy on them before in the past, right? Didn't he rescue them from the kings or whatever? Didn't he
yes,
rescue the residents of Sodom? So he must have had some love for them or something.
no,
Concern.
yeah. What I'm trying to say is, but if God is telling him that I'm going to destroy them,
Right.
he didn't have a relationship with them before.
Why did he bother to rescue them? Just because it's
Because he was, his nephew. It was all because of his nephew. That was it. All because of his nephew. He didn't have any relationship with them.
Didn't care about them.
No, he was still nice,
Yeah.
but he wasn't going to go ahead and do something for no reason. That was anyway. And the last thing that he mentions is that he planted this tree. What was that?
He got rich off it.
Oh, that too, right? No, but he didn't. He didn't want to take even from a shoelace. That's what he said.
He took all their stuff and he gave a piece to.
But he gave it to other people. He didn't take it to himself. That's what it says. He didn't want to take a shoelace even from. He was offered. The king of Sodom offered him, and he said, "No, I don't want to take anything."
Like a reward for him.
Yeah, because he saved them.
Wine and
Right. So he planted this tree, which was called Esha. And Esha stands for Achila, Shtia, and Levia. Eating, food, drink, and escorting. Right? So this was this free inn that Avram Avinu founded. And it was all for kindness, for nothing else but kindness. So now, the one question we have to come up to it is, after this type of level, this level of kindness that he had, we have to say that, where did it come from? Like, it just started? Why is it that in Parsha's Lech Lecha, last week's Parsha, when the Torah introduces us to Avram in such a in a sutta. So if Hashem, introduces him at the I think it's very much at the end of Noach, but really in Lech Lecha. So why is it that in that time, all this time, why didn't we hear anything about the chesed of Avram Avinu beforehand? Why did it wait only till this parsha? So, which is a very good question I never thought about before. And it says that he brings from the student of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov student, Rav Moshe Midolina, he said that in order for us to be able to come to the level that a Jew should come to be able to fulfill what Hashem wants him to fulfill, then therefore he should go in it in a way that even in a physical mitzvah, let's say, I'm going ahead and I'm bringing a chair for my father, right? I'm doing something that for honoring my parents or something like that, right? So I'm going out of my way to do something. That's a physical mitzvah. It's not something. It's not nothing spiritual about it, right? But yet, I'm bringing kedusha from the root of the mitzvah. The root of the mitzvah up there, right in Shemayim. I'm bringing it down, and that's what I'm doing when I perform that thing, even though it's physical. It's only physical, right? So therefore, it's like Abba, for instance, Abba and Ima, right? Father and mother. So Abba represents Chesed, Chachma. I'm sorry. Abba represents wisdom, and the Ima represents Bina, understanding, right? So therefore, when he does that, he gets from that Chachma and Bina, right? Wisdom and understanding. So everything is connected. But the only way that this works is if he is mitzuva va'oseh, meaning a person who is commanded and does it. Like, and this is, for instance, another story back a little bit longer. When I was in 6th grade, I remember that I was on a bus or in a carpool coming home. I don't remember.
Oh, they had cars back then?
I don't remember. I'm not. Yeah, it was. No, it was. They called it a car. Really, it was a horse and buggy.
Horse and buggy. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't remember how I got home. But on the way home, I remember that I was going to surprise my mother because my room was a mess and I wanted to clean it up. So I get home, knock on the door. I'm like I'm like charged to do this. What does my mother say? She greets me with a snack, give me a snack, whatever. What does she do? She tells me, "Can you go clean your room?" So what happened at that moment? I lost every desire to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she burst my bubble. Like I wanted to do it, and now because she told me to do it, I don't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. That's the whole meaning by Gadol HaMitzvah Va'oseh Me'asher Ein HaMitzvah Va'oseh. That it's greater. A person is greater that when he gets commanded and he does it, then he doesn't get commanded, and he's not commanded and he doesn't. It's a nice thing, but it's not anywhere near the same. So therefore, when I'm doing it because of a commandment that I
Did
got,
you clean your room?
huh?
Did you clean your room?
I don't remember that part of the story. I really don't, to be honest. But I probably did. I can, I think I did, because. A few hours later, my father would be coming home with big. So I'm sure I did, but anyway, so therefore, in order for us to be able to have that, to make the deed so special, we have to have a commandment, and then it can go through those stages that we're talking about of bringing it from the root, from up in Shemayim, and bringing us, and that we should be able to get from that and from the pipeline, the spiritual pipeline. But and we see that from the when we make a bracha before we do a mitzvah, right? What does it say? Asher kinishanu v'mitzvos v'tzivanu, right? That Hashem made us holy with his commandments, and he commanded us to do X, right? So that means that is the way that we get holy. That is, when we're performing that's the way we get holy, and that's the way we bring down the shefa. So, as we know, the 613 mitzvahs that we have are all the roots, the 613 different roots of holiness, of how to connect to Hashem. So therefore, we see that when Hashem commanded him on Bris Milah, when he already knew about Bris Milah, but he was waiting to get commanded because of this reason. So once it happened, and what did Hashem say? Hashem said at the time when he told him to do the Bris Milah, the circumcision, Hashem said, "Hisalech lefanai v'heyeh tamim," right? Go before me and be pure. So that what does Hashem mean when he said that? Hashem meant that as long as he had that impurity with him, because he didn't do the Bris Milah, so therefore he wasn't able to be together with Hashem in a proper way. Only after he removed the Arla, did the circumcision, removed the Arla, then he was able to be in a proper way and in such a higher level with Hashem. Not only that, in the Medrash Tanchuma it says that before the Bris Milah, whenever he was miyached with Hashem, whenever he spoke with Hashem, he would fall. He wasn't able to stand up. He would fall. And once he had the Bris Milah, then he was able to stay standing when he was with Hashem. And now, what is the purpose of Avraham? We know that Adam Rishon, right, almost basically around 2,000 years before Avraham, Adam Rishon it was definitely 2,000 years before Avram was actually starting, right? Adam Rishon,
1948 plus 100.
right? So 1948 is actually 2047, right?
Plus 199.
Right. So in 2047, when he started doing the real chesed, wasn't the chesed that he was doing before, it wasn't the same. He was starting to do the tikkun, the tikkun olam, fixing the world. He was starting to do it because of what? You okay? You need a drink? Yeah. Okay. So he was starting to do the tikkun that he needed to do because Avram Avinu messed up. Adam Rishon messed up. Adam Rishon messed up, and therefore he had to do the tikkun olam. Some Jews call tikkun olam environment, and I'm not saying it's anything bad. It's fixing, keeping the environment good and all that. But the point is that it's not the same. There's nowhere near what the Torah means by olam hatikun is or tikkun olam, I should say, is by doing it, having in spirituality. Get a plate and take it. So now, in order for him to do that, there's seven attributes that have to be done, and the last three by Mashiach. So the seven attributes, each one was one of the attributes of one of the shepherds. We have Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David, right? So each one had their special attribute. Each one had their special attribute, right? And therefore, with that, who was the first attribute? The first was Avram. Okay? Everyone okay over there?
No.
Okay. So, Avram, in order to be able to start the actual fixing of the world in the spiritual way, it had to start through chesed. It had to start through kindness, and that's why it says it only here. It only says it here right after at the end of last week's Parsha. That's when it talked about the Bris Milah, the end of last week's Parsha. Now the chesed that he was doing, even though he was doing chesed beforehand, is not nowhere near the chesed that he was doing now. Because the chesed he's doing now is after he had bris milah. So then he came to his real purpose after the bris milah to be able to do that. That was the starting of the tikkun olam. Okay, then he goes into this very interestingly, he says that we know that any of the kindness and the love and the goodness that we do for other people is all ways to connect, and even the love of Torah, right? The love of Jews, love of Torah, right? It's all ways to be able to get close to Hashem, because the main purpose in our lives is Avos Hashem, right? That's the main purpose, and all the mitzvahs is ways to get there, right? So now he says so we know that this is the way that he became in such a, he became the epitome of chesed, because of the fact that he actually went ahead and he did the bris milah, because then he was able to go ahead and do all these list of 8 things that we mentioned. Only in the level of his chesed was upgraded in an amazing way. That's how he was able to do it in all these 8 things that we mentioned.
Are we capable of being on that kind of a level like he was, as far as
I'm sure.
kindness, or
Do you have a milah?
I'm sure we were able, but Hashem wants us to be, working ourselves
yeah,
into do the highest level of ourselves.
Inspiration
For sure.
But
Absolutely.
I just wondered if he was unique for all time as far as his. That's
a good question. I think that it's possible.
Okay.
I think that it's possible.
I'm curious. I like to see him as on the
No.
highest level there.
No, I think it's possible. And we know that and he says that it's very possible even that the request that Avram asked Hashem, that don't, please let me, wait there so I can take care of these guests. He couldn't have done that beforehand. That's what he's understanding from this, that he really couldn't have done that beforehand, because he was falling every time, right? So there's no way that he could go ahead and do it and say, oh, stop. So this whole scenario had to happen only after he did the bris milah, he had the higher level, and then he was able to do it.
Is there a commentary on why? What was the significance of it falling? What was the meaning?
Because of the fact that he was now commanded. He had the bris milah. The bris milah made him a real Jew, right? In all senses of the word, he didn't have that imperfection on him.
Okay, but becoming
right?
a Jew makes you
100%.
stand up
No, because
to the challenge or to whatever.
Yeah, right.
He
Absolutely.
wasn't randomly falling. He was falling only when he talked to God. Like he couldn't handle the influx, so because he was still slightly physically.
Oh, he didn't have the cleave for it. Oh, you mean
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Right.
What would cause him to fall?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Couldn't hold it. Couldn't contain anything.
So now he says like this. He says that if we think about the Akedah, right? The Akedah, when Hashem is telling Avram Avinu to kill his son, right? So usually you would think that really when a person has a certain attribute, Hashem is going to test that attribute in a way that makes to show that is his attribute actually as high as it should be, right? So let's think about it. By Yosef had the attribute of Yesod, right? He was Shomer HaBrit, right? That's what he was, his attribute. So he got tested with Potiphar's wife in such a very, very, and not once, not twice, he's being tested, right? So you would think that the test should be the opposite, because Avram Avinu's midah was chesed. So if Avram Avinu's midah is chesed, so therefore what should it be? It should be that he's testing on how great his chesed is. So therefore, if he's telling him to kill his son, it should be the opposite. He shouldn't kill his son. Maybe that's what the test is. And he should have said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Oh.
You understand? But it's not. It's the opposite. And we see that Avram Avinu went ahead, and it says somewhere else, the Nesivos Shalom says, and it's probably in Parsha Lech Lecha, it says, Vayishlach as yado v'yikach es macheles, that he sent out his hand and he took the knife, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. Why is the Torah using extra words? He took the knife, right? Why does it say he sent his hand and he took the knife? So he answers, I forget from who, but the Nesivos writes that what it's referring to is that at this point, Avram was so close to God that he was able, that his limbs were doing the Ratzon Hashem. His limbs were automatically doing the will of God. And therefore, when Hashem told him to shecht his son, and he got to the place to do it, his arm wasn't working because Hashem didn't really want to kill him. Didn't want to kill him. So he had to consciously force his arm to reach out, right? So this is what we would think it should be the opposite. So why is it that Hashem is testing him to actually do against his attribute? How does that make sense? So listen to what he says. He says that when Hashem originally told Avram to kill his son, what did he say? He said, "Es bincha, es yechidcha, es Yitzchak." He said, "Your son, the one, you're the only one." And he says, "Yitzchak asher ahavta," that you love. When he said those words that you love, right? When he said those words, the Yitzchak that you love so much, right? When he said that, Yitzchak. So that when he said that, he all of a sudden, what happened? What happened? The love that Avram had for his son Yitzchak was nothing in compare till that moment that Hashem said that. Once Hashem said that you love, automatically it's like when Hashem said, like, you know, we're sure that if Avram was able to have love for people that he didn't know in such a huge way, so you can only imagine the love for his son was much more than we can understand. But at the time that Hashem said the word "you love," it became even boundless, much more. And we see that because when Hashem said there should be a rakia, a sky, right? So when Hashem said that, the skies kept on expanding until Hashem said Shakai. Hashem used his name as Shakai, that means enough. That there's one of the attributes of Hashem that he stops things. He doesn't make it continue. He stops things. So he stopped the rakia. He stopped the sky from keeping to spread. Right?
What sky are we talking about?
Space. The sky.
In the creation of universe.
In the creation, right?
Space.
Yeah.
Right. So he told it to stop. Right. That the word of Shakai is the one of the names of Hashem is Dai. Dai means enough. Right. Yeah. So Hashem knows where. Right. So here, Hashem didn't do that. Hashem said, "Ahavta," you love, and that's it. So it was endless and infinite. And this was the test. Obviously, this made the test even greater. Right? So much greater. So he says that what's the whole purpose of our love to any Jew? Right? Really, our love to any Jew should be equal to the love of our children. right? The love to our brothers and sisters should be equal to any Jew, right? It's not, because we're not like God, but that's our goal, right? That's what it should be, right? So he says that, but what's the whole purpose of that? The whole purpose is the love of Hashem. So therefore, if the whole purpose is the love of Hashem, so then automatically, that's the test. To go ahead and say, are you able to see what the real purpose is? That yes, your amount of chesed is so great that you shouldn't be killing your son. But what's the purpose of everything? Loving God more than your son. So therefore you have to kill him anyway. That was the purpose, to be able to see if what is, he has everything right, but does he have it for the right purpose?
So that was always the test of faith with Avraham
Right.
Avinu, was to
See if he has it for the right purpose.
What if he would, under any circumstance, fulfill Hashem's will?
Yeah, meaning because
Whatever
the
test,
purpose,
yeah.
the bottom line is love of Hashem, which supersedes any other love.
And he knew that.
Right? He figured it out.
Or whatever.
He figured it out, right? And just as to end, the Nesivos Shalom ends by saying that that just like the general world, right, has the purpose. We are here, and the Jews. I mean, the world was created. The purpose of the world was mankind, right? The purpose of mankind was the Jews. We are supposed to go ahead and shine our light to everybody else, as we do, and we're always on the head of the news, no matter where we are, and we know that. But just like the purpose of the world is, to get to that tikkun, to get to that complete repair of the world, as in reference to what Adam Rishon did, how he brought death upon the world, pain, and all those things that he brought upon the world. So therefore, the same thing goes for each and every one of each of us, because each and every one of us is our own individual world. We are a small world within, every Jew is another world. So therefore, just like the Torah is teaching us that just like Avraham Avinu had to be the one who starts with Chesed, and then the next one was Yitzchak with Gvura, and the next one was Yaakov with Tiferet, right? So each one has their own mitzvah to start with to be able to fix the world. So too, we have to fix our own. We came here, right, Moshe Aaron? You came to fix something, right?
I came for David.
Right? He came to fix something, right? To fix David, whatever it was. So,
It's not easy, Rob.
not easy. No, not easy. I don't know, but it could be that they came to fix each other. So anyway, listen, think about it. Just them two are all four of the shepherds, four of the shepherds of Israel, right? David, Yosef, Moshe, and Aaron. Okay, four of the shepherds. That's more than half of the shepherds. Anyway, so
I'm a shepherd.
that's right. Yitzchak is a shepherd. So therefore he's saying that the same way that we have to go ahead in our own world, in our own miniature world, David, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, in our own miniature world, right? In our own miniature world, right? We have to go ahead. I didn't go according to the shepherds, I went according to chronological order. So,
Like the reason I know the shepherd.
right. So, David could go first, yeah. But anyway, so in our own miniature world that we have, we also have to start the tikkun with chesed too. That's the way we have to go. Our default, by default, we want to be selfish. We want to care about ourselves. That's what we want to do. That's all we want to do. We want to care about ourselves. And we never saw a child, in his cribs, even at a year old, even at 2 years old, when he's crying for something, he wants to get, he's not going to go ahead and say, well, Mommy's tired. No, I'm not going to bother her now. He thinks only about himself, right? That's what he thinks about. So therefore, we have to go above and beyond, and that's our first job, is to work on our chesed, work on our love of one another, and I just want to say something that I didn't ask anybody if this is true, but I feel that this might be a reason why Avraham Avinu was so into chesed. I feel that if you think about it, Avraham Avinu was somebody that totally did something the opposite of everyone, right? He was in a time where there was idol worship, and he went and he was the Ivri. He was called the Ivri. That's where we get Hebrew, the
From the
Hebrew
other
from
side.
the other side. He was totally the other side of everyone else, right? Now, we see that at a young age from Avram, and he goes through with this against his parents, against Nimrod, right? A rebel. That's what he was, right? That's what he was. In order to do that, this is my thought, and it could be I'm wrong, but my svara is that if he was innately, which I originally thought that he was a person of chesed, right? A person of kindness. How could he do that? A person of kindness wants to be with others, wants to be social, they're not an introvert, they're an extrovert, right? A person who's really doing kindness in such a way, they're gonna, right? So I think that he was so,
Secret introvert.
he actually went ahead and worked on himself. He had to do something, because if he just stayed the way he was, right, then everybody would say, you know what, he's a weirdo. He's the one that does this. He's a weirdo. He had to figure out a way that he can make sure that not only is he not going to be a weirdo, because at the end of the day, his purpose is God, right? And therefore he has to show and bring fame to God and teach people about God. So therefore he has to do it in a way that if they benefit from me, then they're not going to be able to make me into a weirdo.
Oh, criticize me.
They're not going to say he's crazy. They're benefiting. So they're benefiting me. So therefore they're going to listen to
So he
me.
realized
So
Sounds terrible.
he realized don't keep the chesed to
No,
himself.
I think that it brings Avraham Avinu's chesed to much a higher level,
Well, he decided I need
He
to
was just
spread
feeding
this.
himself.
right?
I don't need to just be self-righteous and keep it to myself. I need to spread it
Right.
Wicked, actually.
So therefore,
amongst others.
right, and that's
You
how he did
show
it.
it.
So I
He
think
was going to
that
sacrifice his son in order to show others.
Right.
Others.
So dependent to the man.
He's doing it for,
Right, and then
only
he-
for Hashem and not for an idol.
That's why
Exactly.
you need Messiah.
yeah. Anyway, so that's what I think, and Bez Shem Yisborach, we should be zocha to become to the midas chesed and to go ahead and to really do Hashem's will in every way to bring Mashiach b'meher v'menu.
Man. Go ahead.
One thing I realized while you were saying this